Welcome to That Japanese Thing. Today we're talking about the fall anime season. Now that it's been out for a while, we'll be able to actually look at some of the ratings from Japan and the West, compare the two and see where we're at. Sorry we didn't get into it earlier, but as you know, you may or may not know, I was traveling and we couldn't do the full review we normally do. But we're doing it now, so here we go. My name's Chris. Today with me is Dylan and Yesh. How you guys doing?
Hi.
Hello, going well in yourself, Chris?
We are functional. You are functional. We are functional.
We are functional. Functional and human. Definitely human. No, I'm fine.
Nothing to see here.
It's getting progressively hotter and hotter, so I'm not happy about that. But I'm also getting used to it again, so that's at least something. But I hear there's like a weird snowstorm thing going on where you are, Yesh, so maybe we're at the opposite ends of this.
We had a cold snap, which meant that we got, I think it was 4 inches of snow.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, so
cold.
everything became extraordinarily bright for a very long time. But things are returning back to what people predict the weather should be, so I think that means everything's okay. But you know, when the apocalypse comes, I'm sure I'll be right there in the middle of it.
It sometimes seems that way. There's like a YouTuber I was just stumbled across a few days ago, and he ends his videos with, "Even when it doesn't seem like it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay." I'm like, no, you're wrong, buddy. The opposite of that. That's what's really going on.
Yeah.
But this season's actually been pretty good in quite a lot of regards. I don't think I've watched as much anime this season, though. You know, just because I've been flying and moving around and that sort of stuff. In terms of, like, I normally make sure to watch 2 or 3 episodes at least of every show, if possible.
I think
there
it's
are some I've
possible
missed. Yeah.
The reason for that is that there's actually enough good shows that the amount of time you had for just mucking about and finding out was limited.
Also another reason is they decided arbitrarily, whoever controls some of like the anime, like, I don't know, distribution rights in Japan, to start a new streaming service. And like, I didn't want to get that, so if I wanted to watch some of the content, I would have to go elsewhere to do so. And I did do that with like some things that seemed good, other things I might have just let slip past me, you know.
Well, another streaming service that was one of the major distributors actually ended during this season as well. Funimation has closed down their streaming service.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So we ended up, I think some people ended up free-floating and they were hoping to capture that.
Yeah, it's not actually like an anime exclusive package either. It's like TV shows and a bunch of things that are tied to it, so I don't know. I'm gonna wait like a season, maybe it'll settle down into a better form before I pounce.
Yeah, so
on
hoping
like a
High
thing.
Dive just manages to get most of the licenses.
Yeah,
I don't need everything,
I
I guess. I just want one service to give me most
like,
of it.
can't they just can't everyone just like sell things to a distributor like Amazon? And I don't mean that like, you know, just give it to Amazon so we can all watch it for free. But you know, Amazon has those like channel packages. So if you're interested in a certain thing, like, you know, British dramas or whatever, and they've got a bunch of anime ones, and like I subscribe to those, and they're like a few dollars a month or whatever. That's like a good deal. Just give us that, and even if it is like happens to be like a Crunchyroll thing or something like awful like that, I would rather just pay for it and have it available on any device I can log into my Amazon account with, for convenience sake.
I feel like Steam has really made us feel like we just want everything consolidated because Steam is reliable and good.
Yeah.
But Crunchyroll has shown too many times that they are not that. They are not reliable.
No, I already don't want a Crunchyroll thing. I just want people to... I want there to be a channel that I could subscribe to.
A service that just has things,
yeah.
and then we don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Doesn't even have to be like I'm happy to pay like $15 a month, $20 a month for that. It would just be so much more convenient.
It's just that obviously the company that's currently the most prolific has shown that it's not worth being involved with.
True. Absolutely true. I mean, it's kind of Sony, right? The ultimate...
It is kind of Sony now.
Yeah.
But a lot of the payment structures that involve starvation wages was done before they joined Sony. So
That's true. I can't blame Sony for Crunchyroll's mistakes before they joined them. But you would have thought it would have improved.
indeed,
After the
when they started making
acquisition.
their own anime and stuff, you would have thought that they'd be like trying to make the industry
Sustainable, yeah. Well, anyway, let's get going. So what we're doing, we're referring to my anime list, fall 2023, sorting by score, I've decided, gentlemen. Because we're also referring to Anikore, which is the Japanese kind of rating anime system.
Okay.
And the default there is set to score, and I don't want you to fiddle around with the settings because it's all Japanese. So we'll just fiddle with the one on my anime list. So if anyone wants to look at this, that's what we're doing. And it may change, obviously, but it's season is like a month or a month and a half from being over at this point, so probably won't. And yeah, on both of them, to no one's surprise, we get Sousou no Frieren, or I don't know what is the English title? Frieren Beyond
Journey's End.
That's so dumb. But yeah, this is actually kind of completely out already because they front-loaded the season with I think the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then they released one thereafter. I think we've lost Yesh, so I'm just gonna pause.
Okay, I was gonna just say, just keep going.
Well, okay, let's just keep going. Maybe he'll pop back up again.
He'll come back when we get to the interesting stuff.
That's true, let's stop. And we're back.
Sorry about that, everyone.
No worries. We understand snowstorms, such things. Bad internet. Got it. But yeah, Frieren is the most popular by score and by view count this season, to maybe a mild annoyance on my part, because it's kind of bland fantasy retreading of like a whole bunch of tropes, but it's done very well, and I do understand why people like it.
I
It feels
think it's
like
one of the best shows released recently, in part because fantasy has become so terrible with isekai that a show that's actually putting in effort to build its world, build its characters, and give us an emotional journey is actually a rarity nowadays.
Sure, it sort of feels like the anime equivalent of the Lord of the Rings story.
A lot more heavy like that, yeah. Obviously not quite as good as that, but
It's like a record of the
it's
Lotus
got more
War
substance to it.
like thing, but
I was
lighter
gonna
than
say
that. Yeah.
a bit more like Magus' Bride.
Yeah, but not like a drama per se. It's almost a comedy for the most part, really.
Well, I think that's kind of the drama of it, that she has so much fun and that there's such comedic moments when she's around people whose lives burn up faster.
I guess so.
That
yeah.
the sadness hits when they're not around, and they all vanish so fast for her.
I would love
So
there
there's
to be
drama
more,
here.
more exposition in this story. I think there's a bit of like a mystery box element to it, which I don't want to say is fooling people into thinking it's better than it is, but it's keeping you engaged throughout the story, and I'm not interested in that at all. I'd like to know more concretely why some of these people are fighting each other and so on and so forth, but it's just kind of breadcrumb fed throughout the season. But that being said, like, it's really, really good. The animation's quite
well animated, well voice acted. The comedy hits well, and the quiet bits in between do feel somber.
Just lovely to look at.
It made me feel emotions, which is kind of hard nowadays.
You know, it actually feels like The Hobbit more than The Lord of the Rings. Like that journey.
It feels like The Hobbit. I'll give you that exactly.
I was ironically, I was reading The Hobbit while I was watching this at some point. So that might just be something that happened to my brain. But, you know, when they're crossing the mountains, it's kind of got that serious but friendly tone that book has.
I do agree.
Did you watch it at all, Dylan?
Nope.
Okay.
It's gonna be a theme. I've watched quite a few things, but not at this section of the list.
Yeah. No, that's to be expected. But Sam, you know, it did well in Japan. Just this weird thing with like Japanese audiences. I think they're more critical than the people who at least give reviews on their ratings on my anime list. But like, kind of doesn't make sense to me because the international rating system is more or less the same. It's just it feels like there's a more it's like a higher standard on the Japanese side. Both the most popular and highest rated show is Frieren, but like the score discrepancy is quite high, like a 20% difference in the total score. But yeah, anyway, this is the next one on the list. Did you watch Ash at all? Apocryphy Diaries?
Yeah. So I did not watch Apothecary Diaries. It is highly rated. A lot of people are talking about it, but I just wasn't in no way interested.
Yeah. So the Japanese title is like the Apothecary's Soliloquy, which I think would have been a better title than Apothecary Diaries in English. It's pretty good. I think they were banking on it being very popular, and like it is. But I don't really know why it's as popular as it is. It feels like it should be one of those like kind of hidden gem animes of the season, which kind of no one watched but was surprisingly good. So like it's about it's like ancient China in the Imperial Palace, the walled city. This girl who is an apothecary for a brothel gets kidnapped and sold into basically indentured servitude in the palace.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just very stoic. Like, I mean, her job probably prepared her for a lot of nonsense and stuff, but she just doesn't really get flustered at anything, and she's very competent. Contrast that with a palace official who's basically gets by solely on charisma and his ability to talk his way around things. And you've got a weird kind of it's definitely like not a romance. It's not a reciprocal love story at all. She has no interest in him whatsoever. But it's kind of just a fun story about quite serious things. You know, it's about palace intrigue and poisonings in particular, and who's trying to kill who, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I don't know why it's as popular as it is. But I've enjoyed watching it. I saved up like
amongst
6 or 7
Japanese
of them.
and Chinese audiences. This particular style of semi-political intrigue drama is really popular. Amusingly, for the Chinese, wuxia novels very strongly feature this kind of politics. So they're Dragon Ball equivalents, when they're not fighting each other's faces off, involve the heavens coming down to judge this great new warrior and having this kind of politics involved.
Yeah.
So this kind of story is really popular in China and relatively popular in Japan.
I mean, it is like a period drama, so it's got that going for it. And, you know, if nothing else can be said for it, it's not an isekai. There's no magic. It's just a story about actual humans in an actual setting doing things that are plausibly related to reality. Although there is like elements of like superhuman resistance to poison that are present in this story. But other than that, it's very, very grounded.
Well, I mean, a lot of this is based on the legends. So like Rasputin and stuff. It's not based on like perfectly normal people. It's based on the legend of.
So to speak, but I mean, she's just like, it is kind of, you're right, it is Rasputin-y. So she's like accustomed her body to like snake venom or something. So supposedly that makes her immune to other poisons, which I don't think that's how it works. But, you know,
What's more likely is someone tried to poison someone else. That other person didn't eat the poison, and then they explained it by saying, "No, I'm immune to all poisons." Just so you know.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's fine.
But this is that kind of thing. Yeah.
Number 3 in Japan, number 2 here. Yes, the next one is up to you.
Yes, just indeed.
I feel like my ordering is different. The page you linked me has number 2 is Dr. Stone, but
yeah, well,
I'm
that's the
assuming
Japanese one, right? I'm talking about the My Anime List one. Is your favorite anime of the season? Obviously, is the
Yes,
Eminence
indeed.
in the Shadow.
Eminence in Shadow continues its upward progression somehow. So Eminence in Shadow has really adapted the one formula, where there's this really interesting normal world happening, where all of these powers are vying against each other in this really complex myriad of spies and powerful people acting against each other to take over the world, or at least affect it in some way. And then there's this one guy who's not involved with any of that, doesn't know it's all happening, and yet is so completely overpowered that he destroys all of the machinations almost by accident. Eminence in Shadow is precisely that exact same formula as Mob Psycho and One Punch Man, except that the main character is almost unbearable to watch at times. It's incredible. The comedy continues to be great. And as long as you follow the background storyline as well as the main character storyline, what's happening in the current season has been wonderful. There's this entire Rising action where the villains of the show are actually managing to succeed at a bunch of stuff, not because they're winning really well or like winning at their own arcs, but because Sid has accidentally set off all of the people guarding against powers on him, and he's too strong for them to stop him. So the demonic cult is kind of weirdly like advancing because everyone is too busy looking at the Eminence in the Shadow.
Yes, the guy that wants to rule from the shadows and doesn't want to be
from the shadows
is distracting everyone.
Normal people aren't seeing him at all. It's only their spy agencies of like 2 countries now. So in a way, it's kind of working. He's like KGBing it. Everyone knows that the KGB exists, but we don't know what they do. But everyone else is staring at the KGB in the spy world kind of thing. I
don't know about that. I mean, the KGB do like a lot of stuff in the public. Quite often.
So Shadow Garden is doing a bunch of stuff. They are a successful spy agency in many ways. It's just that this one character has literally shut down a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That makes everyone else less capable in a way. But it also makes the demonic cult kind of able to succeed while they're trying to stop. It's a weird thing. But the background story is very complicated and interesting and wonderful and all of that. But the main story is funny. Dumb fun. Really dumb fun. Don't go into this expecting a great story. Go into this expecting a great time. Yeah. It's a joyride, and it does it really well.
They're trying to do a quartet kind of integration with this.
So Ainz and Shadow have met already.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
In a little
I'm not happy about it, but I'm aware.
They're dropping Shield Hero from the quartet, from what I can tell.
I am happy about that.
To bring Kazuma, Ainz, and someone else, which I'm hoping will be Tanya, but we'll see.
Look, while I don't really like this, I like it a lot more than Shield Hero. Put it that way. Okay, let's get a few.
I mean, at least the main character has a character.
Yeah, there are actual personalities in the show. That's more than Shield Hero can say for anything. So, Dr. Stone and Spy Family on Mal are continuations. I don't know. This kind of arc that's going on in Dr. Stone is kind of
repetitive.
Repetitive. You're right. It's just they've changed the setting. It's the same kind of thing. They had to nerf everyone's like technological like level again to make the story make sense. But
so I read Dr. Stone when it was releasing as a manga on Shueisha's website. So I was very excited about it when it first came out, and its initial 2 arcs were very fun to follow. But I will say they just repeat cycling. Like even when they started to get onto the ocean and stuff, it's repeating many of the storylines, and like nothing ever changes. There's no advancement. There's no mysteries actually solved.
No, I mean there is this new overarching mystery that they're getting towards, but other than that, it's
but
the
they
same
just
symbol.
introduce a new overarching mystery that's not like an advancement. It's just a slight change.
Yeah, I mean we're
And
edging
the
closer
way
to
he
finding
wins
out
everything-
why everyone was turned to stone. Basically, that's all we're getting from this.
But that edging has taken like 4 years. So
yeah.
I lose interest. I want to learn something before things carry on. And
I guess
they're
like
just
if
not
you're
doing
interested in like the quasi pseudoscience stuff that you get taught in these things, maybe that's something that's still there. Very, very popular in Japan though, number 2. Spy Family, less popular in Japan by quite a long shot, but people in the West think Anya is the cutest thing ever.
Yeah.
And
Anya is a
carries all the weight.
fast-selling figure. Yeah. So she is popular in Japan as well to a certain extent. But the show itself is less popular.
Yeah.
It does kind of semi-depict a like post-World War Germany.
It's a World War. Sorry, no, like a East-West Germany kind of vibe going on. A Cold War thing. Although it doesn't make any sense if you think about it. So I advise no one actually do that.
Yes, not actually thinking about it is important.
Yeah.
There's a lot in anime where you shouldn't think about it too hard.
But yeah, it continues. Again, like with the other parts of Spy Family, there's no actual progress towards any particular thing. The formula is going to remain the same, unfortunately. This one happens on a ship, which is quite kind of fun. I like Shangri-La Frontier though. That's actually one of the better game type animes I've seen in a long time.
Of the 2 VR MMO type shows this season, this one is the actual good one in my opinion, Shangri-La Frontier. It explores game mechanics that actually exist. It explores using player skill and bugs to bypass situations in a manner that feels more believable to what a gamer would do. As someone who was very excited about episode 1 and episode 2, I went into the manga to see if this show continues on its good streak, and it becomes a lot more shonen-y, repetitive, generic after I think probably 2 seasons of this. So we're probably going to get about 2 seasons of this being quite good-ish, and then pretty quickly, sadly, after that, it becomes, I'm the chosen one, I have more power than everyone in the universe, and nothing can stop me.
There is unfortunately a arc in this, which is one of the characters is like a high-level character who's kind of got a crush on the guy that likes to play the bad games.
The Gapmoe character, yes. So the super shy, unable to talk to people, cute girl in his class is also this incredibly muscly, armor-clad, monstrously powerful warrior in the game.
Right. And that person is unable to find him until like episode 8, and at that point is too socially awkward to actually like engage with that person's character. So that's just been a kind of an annoying side quest part of the story.
It's the gag, yeah.
Yeah, that's the gag.
I mean, she was in episode 1, literally, when he was first.
I know they've been stringing that along really slowly.
He's just there for the gag meme. You know, no relationship will ever advance in anime, so that will never change.
Yeah, unfortunately, but you know, I guess it could be quite funny. And then we have and Tokyo Revengers got another thing there. You like it, you're gonna watch it. Undead Unluck though, that was a very good first few episodes of a very interesting premise.
Yeah, it was different.
Undead zombie
I like
character.
how they're using their powers
yeah.
and stuff. After how disappointing My Hero Academia has become recently, it was nice to get a Western feel superpower show that felt fun, interesting, unique.
Sure.
I like how they were building the background world idea. The MacGuffin thing is a little bit wearing on me since we've done, I think, 4 now. But, I enjoy the characters that they've introduced. I enjoy the gags.
Yeah.
And they really toned down the weird sexual stuff. So it has become more pure shonen, which I appreciate.
I think that's just because we're in an arc that's actually... I'm sure that's coming back.
I'm sure there'll be references, but I don't think it'll ever be like it was in the beginning. I think the beginning was just there to hook people, and then it'll never come up again properly.
Perhaps, yeah. We'll see. Let's let the season finish before we make that judgment completely.
Make that judgment call. I have not read any manga or anything for this, so I don't know for certain.
I thought it was an original.
I feel pretty confident.
But I could
yeah,
be wrong.
it might even be original. But I feel pretty confident because the way that the random boob stuff was inserted in the beginning felt very like place. It felt out of place. It made me uncomfortable to a certain extent. And I think that this author is capable. So I feel like that stuff was put in specifically to draw an audience, and I don't think we'll see it again.
Yeah.
Unless another season happens.
I did okay, but I didn't do very well in Japan. So, I mean, it did okay. It was like 12th. So it'll depend how well it does internationally. If it gets a second season or not.
I think it'll sell enough DVDs that we'll get it back.
The next one on Mal is My New Boss is Goofy. This is weird because it is kind of it doesn't say it here, but it's like a yaoi kind of genre. Like it's it's only men as main characters, and it is very gay. And the weird thing I was telling Dylan earlier about this is they're all like, it's very clearly like a gay comedy kind of thing going on. But they'll be at like, out drinking or something, and they'll all be talking about their girlfriends or former girlfriends or having been divorced and things. Just that feels like a thing they needed to get out of the way just to make sure everyone knew that these people weren't actually gay, but seriously they are. It's very strange.
I still maintain it's a very believable thing that it would be a commonplace to have beards as a thing.
Yeah, like a fake girlfriend for plausible deniability in Japanese society or something.
Yeah.
It's actually like, I don't really know what it's like. I guess it's like what is that, Dragon Maid? Kobayashi? Kobayashi's Dragon Maid?
Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, yeah.
But no magic and just like an office place setting kind of thing. With a talking cat, which is fun. I haven't actually kept up with the Ancient Magus Bride Season 2 Part 2. I don't know, it didn't... Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, finish your sentence first?
I didn't finish the first part, so Season 2 Part 1, so I guess it didn't really get me back in. And I really liked the first season, but that was 7 years ago or something at this point.
So I watched the original Season 1, the whole thing, and then I watched, I think, only 2 episodes of Part 1 of Season 2. And then I went to try and get back into Part 2 as it came out without catching up. I think that the quality of the show is the same as it was back when it first came out, which is to say, pretty spectacular.
I think animation
is
even better from what I saw.
Quite possibly. Music, animation, and voice acting are all top par for this.
Yeah, music was
but
pretty good.
But for some reason, I bounced off of it in Season 2. I can't even explain to you why.
I think the tone was just
strange. Also, it's entirely possible it's too long since Season 1.
Yeah.
So I no longer feel invested. And when they go back in and try to just get us going again, I didn't care.
But I don't think that's what they do. It's almost like a soft reboot. Because we ended like season 1 off with like that big battle with the guy. I don't even remember his name anymore. He's living in the hole
And some
in the
emotional
ground.
progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now season 2 is like a school arc. It feels like it's just starting again. We're introduced to a whole bunch of new characters. It's kind of exhausting, honestly. And I didn't care as much.
I think that might be it. They tried to get us to care about too many new characters, possibly.
All at once, yeah.
But I don't know. All I know is I enjoyed season 1. I wanted to come into this, and I bounced off of it.
And another thing I
opinion.
think, right, is the first season gave you, like, this was kind of a small magical world. I know there was, like,
Well-
some secret society stuff and slave auctions
But
and
also,
whatnot, but
the Magus himself kept her, like, caged,
yeah.
so she couldn't get out.
But, I mean, it was, like,
So
English
the world she had was
countryside
small.
and fairies and little stories about magical occurrences.
Like a sealed away little world, kind of
Exactly,
thing.
yeah.
But there was the feeling that there was more of the world out there. She was just being limited. From it.
Sure, yeah, especially with the dragon stuff. You got a glimpse of things, but everything was, like, a smallish story. And
It was
now
more
suddenly,
contained,
like,
so-
there's a Harry Potter kind of style Hogwarts world she goes to. I guess it's a university or whatever. And I think it expanded a little bit too quickly in that sense, even though it's been 7 years since the end of the first season. I didn't watch the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, so on and so forth.
Love you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually a fan of this manga when it first came out. It was really well done. So when they said that they were doing an anime adaptation, I was so confused how they were going to get everyone's voice actors to sound different enough to make this worthwhile. And the answer was they didn't. But I will say that the adaptation is pretty good. I personally did not watch this anime much. I watched about 3 episodes because I really wanted to see Akari. But I don't know. I feel like when you're reading a manga, if you zone out for a second or two, you can go back and read those panels again if you need to. And the anime is a little bit more, I don't want to say confusing, but it loses you a lot easier in my opinion.
Yeah.
By the way, don't dismiss this because of the silly title. It is silly and the premise is a bit silly, but I will say that the characters are actually very interesting.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't normally. I couldn't muster the willpower to press play whenever it came up.
Fair enough.
The next one, MF Ghost.
No
Yes,
idea. I didn't even know this was an anime.
So it's a street racing show. There's 2 car ones this season. One is like a Formula 3 kind of into Formula 1 kind of show, and this one is like a street car thing. People have made comparisons to what's the one in the Initial D.
Initial D, yeah.
It's got the
So this has the CG more like Initial D.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think this is Korean based.
It's
like the
possible.
author or original artist is Korean.
But it came off very negatively in the first episode towards me. It was just, I think maybe if you're like a motorhead, but specifically like an Asian racing kind of motorhead, then maybe you understand what's going on here. I don't understand why these people are doing what they're doing, so it didn't make any sense to me. This is another one I bounced off, was the Yuzuki family's 4 sons.
I did not watch this. I never even intended to watch this, so...
Yeah, it's just kind of awful. It's one of those stories where obviously all the parents are dead, you know, and so the older boy is like kind of raising the younger ones. And it's got some weird drama things thrown into it, but I don't want that. It was just boring. Unfortunately, I guess if you're looking for
this is more
a
slice of life.
slice of life, but with, I don't know, character problems. It feels like a Saturday cartoon moral kind of quandary show, but without the fun cartoon elements thrown in. I can't believe there is more of the horse skull stuff, but you know.
Uma Musume Season 3, we didn't watch.
Nope.
Arc Knights, part of a mobile phone game, didn't watch.
Didn't watch that either. Dead Mount, Death Play.
Death Play, Part 2.
Part 2.
Dead Mount, Death Play, the mystery continues unraveling. It's got a lot of more dramatic elements, I will say now. But the shonen-y fighty bits are also still there, which obviously means it's going well, I feel. I am starting to lose interest on Dead Mount Death Play because, like you were suggesting earlier, I think with Dr. Stone, or at least maybe I was suggesting, there's a mystery box element where we're trying to unravel a central conflict. And I feel like they're trying to set up for like 14 seasons. It feels like it, at least. Even if that's not entirely true.
No, it could be. It could be. It could be, yeah.
You know that feeling where they're trying to make the mystery important, but also never ever approach it?
Yes.
Like we're slowly edging around it? That's the kind of feeling I'm starting to get from this now.
I was
actually very happy with part 1, by the way.
Yeah. So oddly enough, Gina was actually saying to me that she's getting into it now. And I mean, she's a One Piece fan and generally like a shonen fan.
Yeah.
So maybe that is what's happening ish. This is like the beginning of an incredibly long shonen story.
But like
yeah,
it's trying to establish the mystery, and I just don't feel like it deserves the interest that it would take to get to the end of it if it's going to continuously like dodge.
I mean, I don't think there's any reason to watch anything for more than 50 episodes anymore, but...
Yeah, I'm strongly of the similar opinion.
Ragna Crimson? I didn't watch that at all.
I watched this. The animation is irritating for me. I think newer anime fans don't care as much. If you are a newer anime fan, give this a watch, actually. The acting was quite good on everyone except the main character. The action scenes are great. The world development is good. The development of the conflicts is quite nice. I will say I personally have a problem with the main character because he's too edgy for me. There comes a point in time when you're so edgy that you're cutting your audience. It's a dark fantasy, power fantasy type show.
But yeah, I mean...
where the main character
yeah.
has to give up some of his autonomy to gain power. So he starts to lose control of himself to a certain extent, which is an interesting concept. But the way that they represent that losing control of himself thing is that he goes into a berserk kind of thing, which almost sounds cool, except he's super cool when he does it, and it always helps him. So, like, that's not losing control, that's just getting rage. I don't care about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it feels like it's been written by, like, a 14-year-old boy. Or someone who knows what 14-year-old boys really like, right?
Yeah. I personally think that they put a lot of effort into the production so that everything else feels okay. But yeah, it's more edgy and maybe more 14-year-old boy oriented.
Speaking about bad animation, there's a Netflix sort of anime. It's like a 3D nightmare for me called Boku No Daemon. My Daemon.
I think it's beautifully animated. I just don't think you would like it. Right?
No, I mean, probably I wouldn't like it story-wise. I did try to watch it, but I couldn't.
No, I understand why. It's also, I don't think the story would be your kind of story. It's horror Pokemon. It like to the point where there's like analogs between like Mewtwo and the main antagonist in.
It also feels like
Daemon.
the one thing that I couldn't get past was that the lip flaps don't match what's being said.
Yeah, look, I honestly don't think it's that bad 3D wise. I don't think it's amazing 3D. They've taken an interesting choice in that they've got 2D backgrounds a lot of the time, and those are done like it's weird because they do the 3D work, but then they flex on the vistas and the backdrops like insanely, and there's a lot of iridescent sort of surreal imagery in it because you get like these sort of mutated plant wildlife forms that look really cool and weird, and the demons themselves often are very interesting to look at.
Yeah.
I don't know. They do a good job in that, like, in the story, they tie the imagery to the story. Because in the story, humans are supposed to see the sort of automatically feel that the demons are abhorrent and have a visceral aversion to them that just seems to be across the board.
A natural reaction, yeah.
And the way they draw those demons, they're really interesting, and they're like grotesquely pretty, but they're not, you know, there's aversion in there. So I think they've done that pretty well. And I think what they tried to do is, for their 3D work, is make it in such a way that they could highlight the demons more than the actual human characters. But with that said, the human, there's a lot of, you know, I mean, the protagonist is a boy, right? It's not actually the demon. So it follows him around predominantly most of the time. But the demons are animated very, very well, I feel.
I don't agree, but sure.
No, that's fine. I honestly like watching the story. I was like, yeah, this is fun. It's like pretty much no different than Pokemon. It's all about like humans treating demons cruelly, and then the one demon that can actually talk and not just say its name, and can think like at a high level is like, I must destroy humanity.
Right.
I was about to say, so the Mewtwo arc then.
It is. I'm telling you, it is like almost bat for bat the same. And whilst I was watching it, I was like, yeah, Chris is not gonna like this. It's not pretty. It's horrible. It doesn't have the right messages that Chris would appreciate. Like Chris would like. I don't know if this is gonna go very good for him.
No, you're right. I didn't last like 10 minutes already.
But I think if you like macabre and grotesque, and if you like, I mean, it's well done, right? It's not like ugly in the sense that
it doesn't look cheap. It
no.
sort of feels like maybe some more time could have been spent on finishing.
If you're like a horror
things.
fanatic, and like Pokemon, if you like those two things, I would be like, yeah, go watch that.
I think I stopped at a scene where like there was a cat fighting a lobster, and like the cat was 2D drawn and like the lobster was 3D, and I was like, okay, no, this is not done yet. I'll come back when
They
they've
do
finished this.
this sort of hybrid 2D 3D thing weirdly. I don't know why. I think they're playing with that as well.
So there's also another one on Netflix called Akuma-kun, Mr. Demon or whatever. And it's about like a Sherlock Holmes kind of demon exorcist team, who seem to be young boys, but the art style's a bit weird. It also, I think unfortunately, is also 3D animated, but in a way that kind of makes it look acceptable and kind of like a well done 3D anime nowadays. It's got a little bit of that disturbing kind of nature to it, where, you know, demons and stuff kind of are real and they are living under your bed and maybe just are going to eat your soul at night. So, but
Just
you
a
know,
little, though.
most people don't believe it, and that's a little bit of like a nice horror vibe going on there. Much more down my alley there that way. But again, it's I don't know. I feel like Netflix saw Chainsaw Man and decided they needed to make demon-related content, and here it is. So, here we go.